to another segment of the Sit Down with Malik Wright presented by First Star Logistics. On this segment, I'll be posing the question that I think a lot of people are asking themselves right now. Are the Arizona Cardinals tanking? Are the Arizona Cardinals tanking? Certainly feels this way. Trading of Isaiah Simmons to the New York Giants for what, a seventh round pick? You cut a formidable backup quarterback in Colt McCoy who produces more than the other quarterbacks you have on the roster. It seems to me that the Arizona Cardinals are waving the white flag. And I got to wonder, how does this make Arizona Cardinals fans feel? How does this make, you know, the Arizona Cardinals players feel? Now, some of you might be asking yourself, Malik, you're wrong, because we're led to believe there's no such thing as tanking in
Hmm.
football. I'm here to tell you right now, there is such thing as tanking in football. There is such thing as wanting to quote unquote lose to better your draft positioning in football. I'll be honest. Lou Anarumo, who is the Bengals defensive coordinator, should be happy right now. For a lot of these guys, it takes a long time to get an opportunity to become a head coach in the National Football League, right? It takes a long time to become a head coach in the National Football League. But when you get that opportunity to become a head coach in the National Football League, you better make sure it's the right opportunity. For a guy like Lou Anarumo, who's scratching and clawing to become a head coach in this league, first of all, almost was scratching and clawing to show and prove to everyone he was a good defensive coordinator, but is scratching and clawing to prove that he could be a head coach in the National Football League. Could you imagine if that guy would have took that, or I'm sorry, would have gotten that Arizona Cardinals head coaching job? And the reason why I bring that up is because the Arizona Cardinals went out and they hired a guy that I heard people didn't think was that qualified. They didn't think that he was ready to be head coach, Jonathan Gannon, but he's young. They were able to get that guy in there. And it very much looks like, again, I know I'm, speaking more into the future, but it very much so looks like his first year as a head coach for the Arizona Cardinals is going to be a wash. The point I bring up is, could you imagine being a guy who's worked in the league for years and waited for an opportunity? You finally get that opportunity. You get an organization like the Arizona Cardinals, who are obviously tanking or not taking this year serious because, football teams don't tank. Could you imagine him becoming a head coach in that first year of his being a wash? And then what happens? The players turn on you. The fans turn on you. You wind up getting fired after year one. And then they bring in another guy that is going to reap the benefits of the groundwork that you laid. It's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about a lot more. We've seen it happen time and time again. We saw it happen with the Arizona. Matter of fact, that happened with the Arizona Cardinals coach before Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Wilkes. I think that was his name, right? Steve Wilkes. He was the head coach
When Josh
before
Rosen was there,
when
right?
Josh Rosen was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Steve Wilkes. He was the coach for 1 year. All the players said, hey, he shouldn't have got fired. We made strides under him, yada, yada, yada. He gets fired. And he's never got an opportunity to be head coach in the National Football League again. And this is what I'm talking about. The Arizona Cardinals, in my eyes, aren't taking this year serious. If you were, you would have kept a guy like Colt McCoy. No, I'm not saying Colt McCoy is a world beater, but he gives you a better chance of winning games than some of these other guys on the roster. I just wonder what the end game is with the Arizona Cardinals. It seems like they are clearly lacking direction. It seems like they've been lacking direction for quite some time. And I felt that way after they fired Steve Wilkes after 1 year and they hired a coach that never won, never had a winning record at any level in Cliff Kingsbury. But Daniel, what are your thoughts?
So I agree with you on the Gannon aspect, right? I think, and it sucks to say, but it looks like it's kind of a, hey, you've got 1 to 2 years and we're kind of going to push you away. I'm looking at their roster. The roster sucks. Their defense has got nothing. Obviously they draft offense tackle Paris Johnson. We don't know what they're going to do with Kyler Murray. What I'm going to say is I'm very curious to see what their GM does, Monti Ossenfort. And the reason why I want to talk about him is because he was with the Patriots for 15 years as a scout. He went to the Tennessee Titans and now he's here. This is his first year. I think he's got a plan. And I'm very curious to see if it's Caleb Williams. I'm very curious to see what it is. But I know that they have 2 first-round picks. They've got theirs and they got the Texans. They're playing the long game, which is why it sucks for Gannon, because I've got a feeling that even probably after this year, he's out. But I'm curious to see what they do, because when you look at the assets that they'll have after this year, you're probably going to have the number one overall pick, because there's not another team that's close to them, respectfully. There's no other team, maybe the Rams, but the Rams have Matt Stafford. The Rams still have Sean McVay. The Cardinals are going to tank. They will have the number one overall pick, and they're going to have Caleb Williams in their hands to either take or trade away, and probably another top 10 pick with the Texans. So I'm very curious, because it seems like they're going to stockpile assets. This year's a wash, and I think that he's got his, ducks in a row, but at the same time, I'm curious to see, my biggest concern is their culture. How does their culture take a hit? Because they're visibly tanking. I think that after this year, people will start to see the vision, but at the same time, how do you feel about tanking? That's a subjective question, right?
Well, I question that, though.
Yeah.
I question that because you say you believe they have a plan. Let's talk about it. That means in the last not even 10 years, the Arizona Cardinals would have drafted a quarterback in the first round 3 times.
Yeah.
So we're entering onto that Brown purgatory level at this point. We are starting to get to that point. So basically, if we were to go by that metric, you would be under the belief that Kyler Murray isn't long for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
I would say, what message does that send? Because Kyler Murray is supposed to be the savior of this organization, which is why you paired him up with a coach like Cliff Kingsbury, which is why you gave Kyler Murray a contract extension. So to go out there and draft a Caleb Williams or a Drake May or whoever it is that you might think is the savior 3.0 of your franchise, what message does that send? To me, it's not a clear message, because they might, all the while, they might be playing the long-term game, and the GM might be. No one's job is guaranteed past this year. No one's job is. It's all about, this is a results-driven business. It's all about, what have you done for me lately? And now I'll agree with you. I do believe Monti Ossenfort will be there a lot longer than Gannon would be. It still does not answer the question. You're putting yourself behind the 8 ball, because what you're doing now is you're saying we're not loyal to any quarterbacks and we're not loyal to any coaches. So if they wind up struggling, Gannon won't see the life of it. Then you're gonna what? Try to go out there and hire another coach that you think that coach is going to be attracted to that mess, when it shows that the Arizona Cardinals and brass aren't loyal to anybody. The most loyal loyalty the Arizona Cardinals have shown in the last 10, 15 years has been to their general manager, who had a couple of DUIs, and Steve Keim. Like, that's the only loyalty they have shown as of recently. But I think this isn't Madden. If you keep changing coaches and you keep changing quarterbacks, you are destined for failure. You are destined to not, get the results that you're expecting to get. I just think that they're going to have a hard time attracting talent, attracting coaches, and getting someone that is really willing to take on this shit show that is, Arizona.
Let me pose this question to you, right? Let's say Kyler Murray comes back. He has a great end of the season. Let's say they keep Kyler Murray. Let's say they go the Bears route.
Mm-hmm.
They get the number one overall pick. They trade that
Mm-hmm.
to somebody else. Then you keep Gannon, and then maybe you've got something. I think so. Now that you're talking about this, if that's the route, I think that's the only smart route to keep the fan base and keep the team intact, because then it shows, once again, to your point, you are loyal to a quarterback. But it poses the question, does Monty like Kyler Murray? Does he want Kyler Murray? I think they're going to have assets after this year, but as you're saying, the key thing is, what do they do with their quarterback? Because I think that says a lot. You get Caleb Williams, trade Kyler, or keep Kyler, trade the first overall pick, trade your Texans pick, and start to build assets and build on the offensive line and defense.
I think whatever decision that the Arizona Cardinals make and Monti Ossenfort make, they need to make sure that they go all in with that decision. It can't be half in, half out. If you're planning to move on from Kyler Murray, move off from Kyler Murray. Planning to keep Kyler Murray, then you keep Kyler Murray. You make that known that Kyler Murray is our franchise quarterback, so those rumblings don't even start, because this is how you get a hot mess. Because the fact of the matter is, Gannon, the way I see it, Jonathan Gannon's job is already on a ticking time bomb, if you ask me. That's just the way I see it, because I don't think that I don't think there's many ownerships quite like the Cincinnati Bengals ownership that is willing to see a coach through their bad times and believe in their process and trust that process, because they stuck by Zach Taylor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I'm saying that is because the Arizona Cardinals have proven they don't believe in it. Because, like, you get a new coach in there each and every single year who preaches a new message, who preaches, hey, I'm going to change the tide. We're going to do things the Cardinals way, yada, yada, yada. And then they're out the door. That happened with Steve Wilkes, right? He didn't even get a chance to really lay the foundation. They say on average it takes a coach 2 years to lay a proper foundation, and that 3rd year is what you should really judge him off of. So by that metric, every new coach should get at least 3 years on the job before, making a decision on their future because it takes time to undo the mess. Usually the first year you're undoing the mess the previous coach did. Second year you're getting your players in. The 3rd year you're seeing it blossom into something. And I think that's personally where the Arizona Cardinals need to look at themselves and say, okay, are we planning to, build with Jonathan Gannon? He's a young coach. He's a guy we think he can get behind. But in that metric, you have to also include him in these decisions as well? Do you want Kyler Murray? Do you think Kyler Murray is somebody we can win with? Do you think Kyler Murray is someone we can build with? And if you can answer those questions honestly and openly with one another, then I think you can move forward. But as of right now, just the way I see it, I just don't see I don't see a pathway just from what the Cardinals have shown the last
Mhm.
couple of years to where I would feel comfortable saying, yeah, I trust their process and I believe their process is. And how can anybody say that they believe in their process, they trust their process if the Cardinals don't believe or trust their process because they haven't shown that. So
Yeah, and that's where the last thing I'll say, I think we're gonna know exactly what this team's gonna be as soon as, they come out with that decision, because at the end of the day, they got a new GM. He's the one who hired Jonathan Gannon. If Jonathan Gannon is no longer their head coach after this year, I think that's gonna be the thing where, okay, this dude isn't loyal. This dude probably doesn't know what he's doing. If Gannon is, that's gonna tell you he's loyal to his guys. Okay, he actually had a plan in place. So that's how I'm gonna judge it. They're gonna suck. They're probably gonna have the number 1 overall pick. If they keep Jonathan Gannon, that's how I'm gonna go off it, because he's the one who hired him. He was hired in January. He hired Jonathan Gannon after the Super Bowl. So he handpicked Jonathan Gannon. And if you go and fire him the year after, that means that you're not loyal to anybody. So Monty, this is on you. You've got the Cardinals fan base in your hands, and see what he does with it.
it's gonna be very, very interesting. If you like more video content like this, do us a huge favor. Give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss when we go live from the First Star Logistics Studio.